And yes, this week has been an awesome week for me. Yes, a lot of challenges because my family is moving from one state to another.
Was very much how the week has been, and the grounding. I felt really grounded by sharing in the breakout group, and the only thing we did was just to share our story. So I was just listening, and I just that acknowledging that other person and the aliveness and the connections and similarities to my story was incredibly grounding. And this week, that's what I've been doing. Basically, I've gotten to know people that are amazing, and just interacting instead of this being dispersing. It's been really grounding. So it's not something I had expected. It's my new practice. So thank you.
Great. Okay, so this is Emmanuel now again. So for me, the grounding experience has been, for me, I would say, makes me feel uh, a lot weightless now. And why it makes me feel that way is because I feel now that there's something that is carrying my weight. If you understand the context in Nigeria and what the conflict is like, working in all the states where, very crazy level of conflict is, it makes you feel very overburdened, very heavy, a lot of weight on the shoulder. But with this grounding exercise and through the course of the week, I could feel the weight on the floor. I could feel myself walking. I could feel the weight off my shoulder and getting to know that it's not about me alone. And the earth is there to bear the burden as well. So, yeah, that's the experience for me. Thank you. Over.
Thank you.
So I'll go next. I think the inaugural ceremony itself was very grounding. It was slow. It brought us into I felt that it brought me into the moment. And I was actually surprised by myself that with this lockdown situation, being at home, the mind has been so busy with so many things of the situation outside and with an effort to fill the time with so many different things. And I realized it in inaugural ceremony when those slow events were going on. I really felt coming into the body and really grounding. So even in our group, this came up that how so much is going on in the world at this point of time. And it seems like a good beginning to enter into an exploration. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I've seen Grant. I don't know if you were gesturing that you wanted to speak, Grant, but we'll have opportunity because we're going to make another breakout space, and then we'll have a larger all group conversation. But I wanted to tell you a few words because that it was not by accident that we make this week grounding, and actually it's not only because of the summit itself that we're going to tackle a difficult topic that is going to raise all sorts of emotional things in us, because all of us have gone through conflicts in our lives. Conflict is like omnipresent in human life throughout the planet. So but also particularly because of what Vinita was saying, that we live in such a peculiar moment in human history where it feels like 2020 is definitely a crossroads year. There's major disruptions happening, and it's on an increased pace, and it gets harder and harder for us to actually be able to predict or have some sort of certainty around. So that calls us to in question of like how can we be in a space of uncertainty and in a space of unpredictability and still be grounded in the sense of being able to find some meaning and some way to go through that landscape where it's really, we're talking about complexity, volatility, a lot of possible emergent situations might come up with when we kind of experiencing these disruptions coming in our way. So at the same time we prepare to fall apart, which is next stage, we are also kind of getting prepared to live in a world that is unfolding and on a growing pace, on an increasing pace, and very unpredictable and uncertain. So take that as also an invitation for us to consider this in the larger scheme of things where we are. So our invitation for the next breakout rooms in trios is really that you kind of go a bit deeper into the question that started today, the coming into presence for the session, which is how am I grounding myself or planning to ground myself for this journey? What else might I be needing? And when we talk about grounding, is not only grounding in the sense of having certain practices in place that kind of, slow us down, that brings us into presence, to know where we are in physically, emotionally, and in our relationship with the world, but also like finding the sources of energy in ourselves. So for instance, we invite people to ground in gratitude. That was one of the invitations, or to do an altar as another way to kind of invoke the energies, the support we need for this. But also look at grounding as are we finding the support mechanisms and measures we need around us to hold us as we enter into these difficult topics and to these challenging situations. So is also extending that sense of grounding and being supported to more than just us individually, to just like where is in our context ways that we can be supported and find comfort and emotional support to be meeting these difficult issues and difficult spaces. And having said that, I think Ben, you have prepared the breakout rooms, Ben.
Yes, I have. Is my audio back and better now too?
Yeah, now it's perfect. Welcome. Okay. So take the question to the group and just have a conversation for the next 10 minutes about this. And then we'll be back and do another.
Are we cutting it a little short? We were going to give this 15 originally.
Sorry, 15 minutes. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah. So you'll get a 1-minute warning. Use that full minute and stay in your groups. And if you need any help, just press the button to ask for help. And here we go. Let's see. Oh, Samuel, you just joined us?
Hi, Samuel.
Samuel, we just went into breakouts and you've missed the framing for them. Shall we just toss you in anyway and someone can bring you up to speed?
Yeah, send Samuel to group.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll move you into a room with Amanda, Anna, and Susan.
Welcome, Samuel. Samuel is actually is going to be part, I think it's the Samuel that is going to be part of the support team that is at the care team that was a care team for the Wilds Beyond Climate Justice. Okay, let's breathe deeply. This call started wild, so hey, Dita is back. What happened, Dita? You are muted.
I know, sorry for barging in, but the person I am in the breakout room with, he or she was with us before but never showed up, and still I waited for a bit, but it's just...
Okay, I'll move you into another room.
Great.
Click at the bottom of your screen, click breakouts, and you'll go into a room with Deb and Manon.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Yeah, shall we pause the recording?
Sure. Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah.
We're going to turn it over to Eva.
Hola, Kalu.
Oh no, I'm doing the plenary. You're coming up.
Yay,
Right.
good.
So we're going to do just a brief little bit of sharing from anything that really touched you or moved you or was an insight or a challenge in your conversations. We'll hear from maybe 3 people for just 30, 40 seconds each.
And please, those who are not speaking, mute the phone, the microphone.
Yeah, let me just mute all so we don't have that problem. There we go. And maybe just drop a little asterisk in the chat to indicate you want to talk, and we'll call on a few people. That's another way to manage it. Or just go ahead, I guess. Let's take a few people. What touched you or moved you, struck you?
Okay, we got Emmanuel the speaker. Okay, so I was in a very lovely group, I must say. I don't know how you made that selection, but thank you. Yeah, so particularly something I heard from Martha from a session she was in yesterday that said it is okay to ask for empathy because we go through a lot as people. We are pained as people, we are broken as people, and we try to man it up a lot, and it's not okay. It is good to ask for empathy. Of course, as she rightly puts it when she explained herself, is that asking for empathy doesn't mean going to a person and say, give me empathy. It could just mean asking someone to listen to you pour out your heart. And just by them hearing you out, just by them nodding their head, it is you letting out the emotion, letting out the pain, letting out the troubles. And that was really great. I was really happy to hear that. Thank you.
I see Grant has his hand up, and if anyone else wants to speak too, we'll have time. If you're quick, Grant, we'll have time for one more. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Just a short one in that case. 3 people, 3 completely different histories. One very much connected to family and the relationships there and the effect that it has on one if they're not, let's say, completely, well, let's call them normal or humane. Another one because of circumstances in the place that they grew up, trauma and terrorism and so forth. Amazing that these 2 lovely people, so they've managed to emerge from that past. And here I was, a privileged person who's had very little conflict in my life at all. So it was a privilege to talk with those 2 in the room, and I'm grateful for their insights.
Yeah. Maybe can we hear from one more person who doesn't identify as male? Manon. Yeah.
Oh yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, I just really felt like sharing because I was with 2 other amazing human beings, and it ended up where we all virtually hugged each other, and the conversation around the question of grounding really ended up being around our need to ground in community, because we were talking about practices of grounding. But then we were like, this situation, this global situation with lockdown and pandemic and so on and everything that's going on just shows us how necessary community is. So we were talking a lot about this and a lot about loss and how important and how necessary and beautiful it is to have people who help you ground in loss and any emotions that you're going through. So yeah, that was it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man.
Right.
So
now we're over to Eva.
actually, to me, I think. Oh.
We're doing the little bit.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Eva, please.
So another quiet moment.
Hey, I'm on the call here. I'm hosting. You guys are kind of loud.
Another quiet moment after Ben's finished shouting to prepare ourselves for a little shared playing, playful exercise where we can hopefully create a collective altar, a virtual collective altar. But we wanted to give you just a moment to go inside again, to use your imagination to connect with what resources you. So if you want to take the time just again to sit back, to come back into yourself, into your body, to pull out of the screen, pull into yourself, and notice how your body is feeling after your conversations. And notice how your breathing is feeling. So I'm going to do a guided visualization. So I'll suggest things, and you, with eyes closed or looking inward, you see what comes up for you. And this really works in different ways for different people. So some people are lucky enough to have a movie screen inside their heads and they see lots of pictures that just come up. For other people, they maybe see fragments of pictures, and sometimes people see words, hear words, or think things, and it's less clear, but it's still valuable. And don't judge whatever comes up for you. Try to stay with it, because your imagination is a powerful tool, but it needs you to be gentle with it and be accepting of whatever it has to offer. So relax and take this short time for yourself, and feel welcome to make as much or as little use of this process as feels right. So just for a moment, letting your thoughts drift over the conversations that you've just had, and noticing what stands out to you, noticing what might have been missing for you. And have the intention that all of it, everything that was said, anything that was left unsaid, all that was conscious, and anything that was unconscious, allow all of that to soak deep into your creative imagination. You don't need to do anything to let that happen. Just allow, just intend it. And allow your thoughts to drift also to your sources of support, the things that you know of that help you to feel grounded and resilient and resourced. And returning for a moment to your breath, just noticing how that is now. Noticing if there's any tension, and allowing that to ease away. As you bring to mind a peaceful place, a place that feels sacred to you. And as you deepen into that feeling, looking around this place and noticing what it looks like, what it feels like, what the light is like there, what the temperature's like there. Whether there are other people there with you. And as you look around, notice that there, in that space with you, is an altar that is bare. There's nothing on it just now. But move over to it and look at what it's made of. Notice the quality of it, this altar. It's waiting to receive something. And as you look at it, you see an offering begin to take shape on the altar. Something that embodies, that symbolizes a source of grounding, of resource and resilience for you. And as this object takes form and you look at it, let the associations that you have with it deepen and resonate. Take a deep breath. And give thanks to this sacred space, and to the gift of your creative imagination. And feel your way back into your body, into this meeting and the wider connection that we share in spite of the huge distances between us. And as you gradually come back into connection and opening your eyes, I'll pass over to Nuno, who will tell us more about how we're going to make this altar.
Thank you so much, Eva. I'm really sorry if I'm sounding bad. I'm with a big allergy today, so it's not the best of the days for me. But I hope you can cope with my poor English in this situation. So yeah, we felt it would really be great to do something together, so we decided to do an experiment, and hopefully it will work, to build an altar together, and to build an altar that somehow is made from some questioning around how am I dealing with preparing to look deeper into conflict and entering into stage 2, which is called falling apart, which is basically looking at the problematic ways in which we might be caught in worldviews, in belief systems, and in habits and patterns of behavior that keep us stuck in producing results that nobody wants in face of difficult issues and conflicts. How am I coping with grounding myself for the summit without really knowing what it entails, without having a map? As a matter of fact, how do I deal with uncertainty and unpredictability in real life? In having a moment in history of humankind where the maps we have don't work anymore, don't match the ground. What helps me to open to the unknown? What am I needing to ground myself right now in relation to the summit? Which in a way could be, how am I grounding myself to meet a world that is not familiar anymore, or that is less and less familiar? And so, as we have those questions, I would like to invite you to open on your browser that link that I'm putting there. Open this link on your browser, and it's a Jamboard, so it's a new thing I discovered on Google, that we can actually make imaginary, a kind of collection of artworks, words, ideas all together. And so the idea is to do an altar all together for the next 10 minutes. I'm going to put the music, and as long as the music plays, we can put things there. Now, the way you put things is, if you look at the left side of the screen, when you open that link, is when you open on the left side, you'll have different options. So you can insert images, you can write things down on Post-its, or you can do other things with laser, but that doesn't stay there, it's impermanent. So one thing is, you can either download pictures from your browser, or you have pictures in your computer that you want to upload, Or another possibility is that if you have a different window open on your screen, you can search for images on the internet and then just drag and drop them on top of the Jamboard. So let's try it out. One thing is, if you see one page really full, you can look at the top of the screen and you have different pages. So you can move to the next page and start populate that. So you can populate as many pages as we want. Just be mindful that we are many doing this, so it's going to be a bit chaotic and we'll have to experiment with that, okay? So let's be patient and have these 10 minutes to build our own altar with the images we want to have there and the ideas and the thoughts that kind of help us, support us in moving forward, okay? So
You make a second Jamboard, Nunu? People are being told there's
no need. If you move the pages ahead, it's going to create new pages. You don't need to open more. Everybody can do that. Just open the next page. On the tops of the screen, on the center, you have the moving the page from one to another. Please continue to do it for as long as the music goes on. So you can put as many images as you want. There's more pages. If you look at the top of the screen, you can move from one page to another. So you don't need to be stuck on the first page. We can create as many pages as we want.
I'm going to take a look at Slack.
Please.
So we're getting to closure. So we have a few more seconds. If you want to put the last images there. let's try to finish, and I'll invite you. I'll leave up the music on for another 5 minutes, but this time, instead of adding more pictures and text, if you want, you just have a look at so you just visit the gallery, just go through the images for a few times and allow yourself to sense into what is it that you are observing, how that touches you, what emerges in you. And you could do that for a couple of minutes and then just start journaling. So get a pen and some paper and start to write down what is emerging for you, what is coming into life in you as you look through the different pictures, look through this collective altar. And when you do journaling, don't do it in the way of thinking first and then writing. So just spend a couple of minutes looking at the images and then start writing without thinking what you're going to write. Just allowing the writing to come through, and we'll do that for the next 5-6 minutes until I stop the music, okay? Thank you all. Ben.
It was really lovely, really beautiful to see all those pictures.
So we want to have a full group conversation now for a little bit about this experience. You can also drop into the chat some of your journaling if you'd like, if there's a phrase there that you want to share. And let's take this slowly, not rush to speak, maybe leave a little space in between and think about whether it really wants to be you that goes first right now. Just go ahead and unmute yourself and please share. We'll take maybe 15 minutes for this and see how we're doing at that point. So we have time. Again, just go ahead and unmute yourself and please share.
So in looking through the images, I noticed that some of them I relate to and they make me feel calm and humility and grounded, whereas others bring tension in me, and so it brings recognition of what grounds me doesn't necessarily ground someone else. So it raises awareness of assumptions, I guess, which is interesting.
I'm just trying to step into what grew out of that from my breakout room before, where I just notice how I go into one of my states that I naturally go into is that, sorry, I'm very dark, which is everything's fine, I don't need any help. Resilience is where I do everything, and I'm here to help others, that sort of thing. So it's when I drop in, and when there's some of those pictures were very big, and just listening to other people speak helped me just drop in and take me out of my superficial mindset, so that I can feel, because I'm a great suppressor of emotions, and yeah, that's what's important to me. Being able to step outside that state that I so often inhabit, to my detriment.
Something that came up for me, I just wrote I wrote many words that were coming up for me, and then I wrote a few sentences which I would like to read. When we fear the unknown, we see the divergence. When we embrace it all, we experience the emergence. Experience love and compassion, experience possibility and harmony. Put one thing at a time and it will come alive. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go. Yes, so for me, it was a different feeling for each frame I viewed. And I've just put it in the comment box as to the message or the interpretation I got from each frame, and how, it's, spoke to me as a person. And, it's a long roll. There were 12 frames. I was able to do that for 11 of them. And just one of it that really stands out for me is frame 4, that I titled "We Are Weak as We Are Strong." And then, of course, the next best for me is frame 5, which says "Your day, my night, your day." It just talks about our differences as people and how we should embrace it instead of fight it or reject it. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. So while I was taking a look at the pictures, I had a very nice moment. I wrote a poem and I would like to share it. So this is what I wrote. Earth is your home. It's okay to be a stone, at times a sea of emotions. Or you're just hanging in there. You're a nice necklace to wear. Gratitude is why we are here. It's how we've come so far. Look at your dirty boots. Look at your history. We follow this journey together, not knowing where it leads us, knowing only that there will be a place to dance, to meditate, to smile. And isn't that already a lot? We fight, we hug, we feel, we need, we sense, we speak our minds, circling like water in tornadoes, grounding our roots, thinking about that, living white and black. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Can I take over? Okay. Yeah. I, of course, unsurprisingly, I associated this with soil and with creations that are made out of soil. And so the following words came up to my mind. Wholeness, containment, silence, or silent growth, kindness. And also there's a phrase that emerged in my mind when I was looking at these things. That the real things, the deep things, happen on another level, on a silent level, let's say. Yeah. Also, I was impressed by a picture with two bulls hitting heads, and that sparked the idea of sincere confrontation as somehow confrontation is not necessarily a negative word. It's just something that happens, is a fact of life. It's a natural occurrence. Yeah. And kindness and love, of course, those emerged as well. But kindness and love on a deeper, on a silent level, beyond what can be expressed with words. Yeah. Thank you.
There was a few things going on when I was looking at the images. The male and female lions really struck me. And then when we were asked to review all of them, my Facebook page was open. And so I'm doing kind of two things at the time, and there's a huge fire in Portugal in the south here at the moment. So I'm watching the updates, and I suddenly thought conflict is coming in here and interrupting this space. And, you know, I thought this is a big reminder to me, a big kick that I need to pull back and to stop this, you know, trying to be there and here and just be in one space and just focus on this. But it's like the conflict interrupts. And so that was a good wake-up call.
Well, I'm extremely touched. Earlier today, I was just listening to this class and we were reflecting on uncertainty. And well, I joined the call late, so I didn't get to share with the group, but when I was hearing the questions and I knew that there was one referring to uncertainty, and as I was seeing the altar, I kept having this thought of the more that I try to stay grounded, the more that I start rejecting the idea of uncertainty. So right now I'm in a place of, I don't know where to stand. Like every time I try to find my ground, then the ground underneath my feet moves, and I'm just trying to be at peace with the fact that everything is uncertainty. Like there's nothing that I can control. And when I join a community and a group like this, knowing that all of us are here, knowing and holding this intention that we're trying to do our best without really knowing if what we're going to do is going to get somewhere, it really touches me. Seeing all our willingness and holding our intention of just doing our best without really knowing, with just holding ourselves in this uncertainty of we don't know what's going to happen, right? So thank you all. Thank you, Kalu. That was beautiful. It was itself very grounding to hear the subtle colors of your vulnerability. Thank you.
Yeah, I also feel really moved by your words, Carlo. I feel my heartbeat really closely, something really happened in me when you shared. Something about really this meaning something in this uncertainty and the vulnerability I feel of not having control, but only having control in, or not control, but like contact when I'm present to my location as me, where I am. And so many shares here now, like from Amelia, this power happening in this silent way, like the greater forces of shaping us are the ones that are the most silent somehow in me. And almost how I might want to make them louder, but and when I see this image of these volcanoes, and I think that there was these words, creation vent. I think I didn't get past this image. I just was like, wow, like it was like creation happening from its source, or from the place it has the most capacity, or it's built that way to explode and make and destroy, or whatever it's like. I notice me often creating far away from my own source, or like using energy I don't have to somehow do or make, and it's like the closer I can come to myself, the more pure, or the more real, or the more hearted that doing or become somehow, and much more within my reach, and much, I don't know. Thank you. I'm really moved by hearing everyone. Thanks.
Thank you all. So unless someone has a burning desire to add one more brief thing, we do want to leave some time for a bit of orientation to the next phase of the summit, and Q&A about how some of the more technical aspects of this. And then to close in a good way. But is there? Just want to make sure that there isn't one more share. Right. Thank you again, everyone, and thanks, Marta, for putting that wonderful poem in the chat too. Nunu, over to you, I think, to talk about stage 2.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you so much, everybody, for building this altar all together. It was so beautiful, and for bringing yourselves more fully into this space. I think that's really awesome, and it touched me a lot. Some of the things that emerged that are somehow related with some of the things we're going to be speaking about is the sense of impermanence that we often forget, because we've been accustomed to build lives and build a reality that should be as stable and controlled and manageable as possible. And perhaps the planet life is showing us that life is uncontrollable, is a force constantly reconfiguring itself. So maybe we are being invited to build the wilds in us, and the wilds beyond our fences that we built for us, and beyond the fences that we've built collectively. And of course that's very scary. But it also seems that in the time we are, these times of great transitions and disruptions, these times where all the ghosts and all the deep-seated hidden things of our cultures and our past history come to surface. They need to be composted. So our invitation for stage 2 is to put a bit the fingers on the wounds. But for that we need to be a bit grounded, and we need to always keep in mind how much we are grateful for the many things we have in our lives that we haven't done so much to have them, but they were given to us. They are a special gift we have every day when we wake up and we breathe the air and have water and have the land to hold us, the earth body to hold us every day to it, close to itself. So we're going to look at in ways that we can fall apart together, just like a shell of a seed needs to break so that it needs to give new life. We cannot open up to new ways of thinking about conflict and addressing conflict if we keep thinking we have things figured out, and we just need to put a bit more of energy, or just need to have better action plans and strategies and plans, and we need to really shift our ways of thinking and being. And so this week is to really look at ourselves, not like the system is something problematic out there, but like what is my to take, what is my challenges, and then what are our challenges collectively, because we grow up in a society that is individualistic and that tends to put the emphasis on the individual, but most of the traumas that we have to face and we have to compost, it's collective traumas actually. None of them, or most of them, are not individual. We might be induced to think that way, but we are not. And so can we help each other to work with that, to fall apart in our ways of thinking and our ways of being, so that then we can then move to stage 3 and start to look on how we can nurture the soil. So that's an invitation to look at this altar, to build your altars, build your conditions to meet this next week in the most favorable place possible. So that means also find support around. We're going to be launching videos, I think around 10 interviews on Monday, and some exercises that we invite you to do, but it's of faculty, it's not obligatory, so you can do your own exercises. And we have the Mighty Networks community, the online community, where we can share some of the insights from the videos, share some of the ways the exercises we are doing to process, to work through our own shadows, our own difficulties, and the difficulties we have systemic, because it's also true that around us there are structures and there are ideas and there are narratives that are kind of inseminated into us since we are born, that are getting us stuck where we are, individually and collectively. And then we have a wonderful offers of online live sessions, of which you can cherry pick which ones you want to be part of. There's going to be grief tender ritual. I think Dita is part of the team that is holding that. There's some others doing some wonderful offerings, and we have the 3 cafes per week where you can just come in and use that space to have the conversations you want. It's an open space. And then you have this, on Friday, we have this session to make sense together and process some of the things that are emerging for us. And we will launch, I already can announce you that we will launch on Monday a care or empathy team that will be available throughout the summit for those who need help, need someone to have empathy with yourselves. So we'll have people in place if you need support, okay, throughout the journey. And I would ask Eva, Ben, to add some things that I might have forgot.
Nothing occurring to me. That was pretty thorough. Anything for you, Ben?
No, why don't we move into, let people ask questions if there's anything that's not clear to you or you want to know more about it, and we'll use our time that way. You can type them in the chat or just unmute yourself and speak them.
I'd like to go. Yeah, thank you so much for these sessions and all that we've gone through today. It's been such a blessing. But just one quick question. At the end of all of this, I know I have read through the documents and I've seen, lots of narratives, but honestly, like deep down, what is that one big thing that you want all of us to take away? Any of you can answer. Thank you.
Do you want me to answer that already? That's a great question. I remember when we were in the opening ceremony and someone was asking on the chat, like, can we get on with the business? What are the things that the guests are going to tell us? What is the things that I wanna have? And one of the things that I think all of us, the team really wants to really say out straightforward is we're not offering any prescriptions or any formulas, any advice actually to say like if you get this thing sorted out you'll be black belt of conflict for the rest of your life. That's not going to happen. That is not what this is about. You're not going to get a certificate of 5 stars conflict manager. Or what we are inviting ourselves into is a journey to lean in on this phenomenon. Lean in, and the team is in the same place like you, and I think all the guest speakers are in the same place like we are, of just ongoing observing and investigating and inquiring into the nature of life and the living process and what is conflict role in that sense. So yeah, what we want to do is a journey together that hopefully will open new questions for us, hopefully open better questions for us to move forward. And maybe we lose the maps we have, because the maps we have to navigate reality are not matching the terrain anymore. So maybe instead of finding a new map that we can just look and be focused on, this is the way, as long as I have this, I'll be having things figured out, that we actually find some coordinates, which can be some practices that can help us move forward or some different things. But not like we're not having a concrete aim that in the end we'll say this is what it means to be successful. Actually, we don't know what it means to be successful when it comes to conflict. So we're just wanting to enlarge our way of seeing and the possibilities that lie in that space, which is a disruptive space.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this is very encouraging to hear, and it just means that we're not alone, especially in these trying times of COVID, and everybody's just trying to figure out how to move on. So thank you so much for that explanation. It really made sense. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to add one thing to that, maybe, that, and this is just me speaking, but I would love to encourage everyone here, strongly suggest that you create an advice-free zone, that this not be about giving advice to others or an expectation that you're going to receive advice. The journey is your journey and the choices are your choices. There's information, there's stories, there's experiences. But when we offer advice, I've been taught indirectly from Paulo Freire and others that it's a form of oppression. Other questions?
I've just put in the chat, but I have a question about forming groups, because I had a group sort of ready, planned, but on talking to them, they haven't got the time and energy to really engage here. They only want to meet monthly. And so I'm sort of thinking, well, how can I create a group that I can really process through these 5 weeks? You're expecting us to find people here, or whether you want us to go outside? I'm not so. Yeah, I'd just like some clarification really about how you like us to move forward.
So I don't know if there's a couple of things. One is we invited people that wanted to be hosts, because we had this sense that if you do this journey together with people in your context, the journey will have a different flavor, because you'll have reflections related with what your community, your closest social network is living, and so it has that kind of lived sense. But we also acknowledge that not everybody is in that condition. So we have around 300 people who said they wanted to be hosts, and we are kind of assisting them in that process. As for the others, it's up to each one of us to decide how we want to do the journey. You can have it individually, and it's fine. We're not having any objection to that. But you can also use the Mighty Networks to identify people that would like to be together with you and meet occasionally through Zoom, have chats there. So, and it's possible also within Mighty Networks to create a group where you can communicate inside that group. So if you want to create a group, just send the message to info@conflicttransformationsummit.org, saying the name of the group you want to create, and we'll just create it, put you as a host, and then it's up to you to manage. And you can invite others to join in. So it's really organic. We just don't open it for anybody to create because the system doesn't allow. Otherwise, we would put it open.
Thank you.
Hi. When I look at the calendar for next week, I just wrote this down in the chat. I don't know if scared is the word, but it gives you a little bit of anxiety in trying to understand how. This is all very new to me. I'm really sorry. How is it that we engage in the topic? I mean, falling apart is a serious thing to do. And it's serious in every possible aspect, and it can be very playful. However, how do we? How does this happen? I mean, in terms of process, not in terms of result, but how are we going to engage in things like what we just did, or how does it work? I'm sorry.
Eva, do you want to say some words about that?
I think it depends on which part of the summit you take part in. The kind of backbone of the summit is, well, I think it's maybe got different backbones, but the recorded interviews are conversations between people. I certainly haven't listened to all of them, but I think they go to different depths depending on how the conversation happened to go, and some of them you'll find really engaging and affecting, and I guess probably some of them won't really speak to you. With the live sessions, I think they're going to be really various. So there's a grief, there's one on grief, there's one on rage. I'm guessing those will be fairly intense sessions, and there are other ones which I think are probably much more discussions or performances or kind of group processes which might be quite a lot lighter, and I think to some extent you maybe just need to try and judge for yourself what feels the right level for you, because we're all at different stages on our journey, and there aren't really any clear answers with this. It's like we're all learning all the time. So I guess that's my response.
Yeah, I would just add that we try to build a container to be as safe as possible, knowing that anyway these things are happening in our real lives. All of us relate to conflicts in different ways and experience them. So this is the closest way we could offer something for people to experiment and go a bit out of the comfort zone. And that's why we also made this first week. So you need to assess, like Eva said, what you can take and how much support measures you have around you to take a bit of risk and experiment in this kind of space. Sorry, Ben.
Thank you.
No, it's okay. Two more things to just quickly add on that. One is that you can reach out, when you go into the calendar, you can click on the green sessions which are being offered by the guest speakers and others, and often their contact information is there, so you could ask them a bit about the session if you have a question or concern. Hopefully they'll respond. We can't promise that. The other is that the cafe spaces allow you to call any kind of session or conversation you want or need, and whoever is there and wants to join you for that can choose to do so. So you can have some agency around that. And also, if any of you really feel called to add to the list of open offerings here, we invited the guest speakers first to do that, and some other folks in our network. But But that invitation is available to you if you want to reach out to us with some suggestion for what you feel would be nourishing for you and of service to others. It should be participatory. That's the only thing we ask. Do we have time? I don't know. I think we need to move into the Mentimeter now if we're going to close on time.
So we wanted to, so feel free to write us questions through the email. Perhaps one of you, Eva, can you write or man the email on the chat box? And I'm going to add a link now on the chat box, and I'll invite you to follow that link again on your browser and just write anything from 1 to 5 words about how you are living this this space. So like, how am I going out of this meeting and starting moving towards stage 2? What is alive in me? What am I feeling? Those are the questions. And just open it and write down as soon as you can anything from 1 to 5 words. So, but 1 for each of the slots you have there open. And let's try to do that in the next minute or so. Okay, just a little bit more. So I guess some people cannot open it on your device, so maybe one of you, I don't know if you could just try to put them there. Just follow the link and put those that people are putting. Art Open, On the Edge. And if you can't access the device, please write more on the chat if you want, and we'll try to add it there.
You got that, Eva?
So I'm going to, you can continue doing it. I'm going to open so we can see the results as they emerge in the screen. So can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Já vou, amor. Já vou, tô quase a acabar, amor, tá bem? So you can see that most of the words that are bigger are the ones that were more repeated. So hopeful is right at the heart of it, which is kind of reassuring. And curious, connected, excited, and then some less repeated but also common were intrigued, supported, peaceful, apprehensive, calm. Let's see if something changed. Now curious also emerged from the center. Amorzinho, já vou também.
Só que eu acho comer.
Ainda não. Dá-me só um segundo, tá bem? So, thank you so much for a wonderful, wonderful meeting. You got to know one of my twin boys, Marti. It's birthday of my mother-in-law today, so I'll really have to leave you on the time. So I will invite us all to open the mic and just bring your voice, and in a cacophony kind of way, just say goodbye to each other up until next week. Can you open the mic, Ben, or to everybody?
No, Zoom doesn't have that feature anymore. People
Hi. Hello.
Bye.
Yeah,
Happy
let me open
Easter.
this.
Love and blessings.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
You too.
Bye,
See
everyone.
you all.
Bye bye.
Take good care of yourselves.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you enormously.
Thank you
Thank you.
all.
Bye
Enjoy the
bye.
week. Have a good weekend.
You.
Bye, Manu.
Totally beautiful, inside and out. Thank you, Finn.
You want to stick around for a few minutes and debrief?
Yeah, let's have a talk.
Okay, maybe we'll
Sa-
hop into a breakout.
Let's see, Samuel, if you're hearing me. I don't know if you got in touch with Lisa, but get in touch with her. We had the meeting today for the care team, so we're going to have another one on Monday, okay? Hope we can count on you.
All right, we'll hop into a breakout.
Uh,
We went into a breakout. You should have gone in automatically. Well, we can come back here now. You're muted.
I was saying it's fine. I just removed people. They were not talking while they were there. They just.
I guess we could do that.
They was just waiting for us to kick them out.
Maybe.
Call Eva back. She's... Maybe she left, no? Ben?
She's in the breakout. She'll come back.
Ben?
No, she's here. She's in the breakout where we went.